All right, welcome to this explainer where we're going to uncover the absolute secret powerhouse who kept the Greek gods from completely imploding. You know, we usually picture Mount Olympus as this chaotic arena, right? Endless drama, epic monsters, flying thunderbolts, the whole shebang. But the real glue holding it all together, it actually wasn't the guy throwing the lightning.
Think about it. When you've got a hyper-violent family of, let's face it, narcissistic gods, you probably assume the most feared among them was the one with the biggest weapon, like the one who could smite you into absolute oblivion or drag you kicking and screaming down into the underworld.
But the answer isn't Zeus, and it's not Athena either. It was actually Hestia. Yeah, the quiet goddess of the fireplace. Honestly, this is probably the best myth you haven't heard yet. She never started a single war, and that is exactly why she was the only god the others were literally terrified to lose.
First eaten, last freed. Let's dive right into this incredibly bizarre timeline to really understand her unique position in the pantheon, because Hestia's story starts in the darkest place imaginable.
So, as the first child of the Titans Cronus and Rhea, she was swallowed first to stop a prophecy. She literally spent years in the dark, just trapped in her father's stomach. Decades later, when Zeus finally forced Cronus to vomit up his siblings, she was the very last one thrown back up. This makes her the paradoxically oldest and youngest Olympian at the exact same time. Firstborn, but last freed. And during that epic Titan war that followed, she completely ignored it, didn't pick up a single weapon.
Watching her siblings, as Zeus proudly divided up the universe, Poseidon grabbing the sea, Hades taking the underworld, she was offered a throne on Olympus as one of the 12. But she watched her family for about 5 minutes and immediately recognized them for what they really were, a deeply dysfunctional group of selfish warlords who were bound to tear each other apart for power. She totally saw the writing on the wall before anyone else did.
The untouchable oath. Because of her powerful firstborn status, two of the absolute heaviest hitters in Greek mythology tried to claim her for their own advantage.
Poseidon wanted her, and not for love, but for purely political legitimacy against Zeus. Marrying the firstborn would massively strengthen his claim to rule. Meanwhile, Apollo wanted the ultimate cosmic pairing, the god of light matching up with the goddess of sacred fire. Now, in Greek myth, when a major god wants you, you just do not say no. But Hestia did the unthinkable. She rejected them both.
She marched directly up to Zeus, placed her hand on his head in this ancient binding oath gesture, and basically swore to remain a virgin forever. She declared she was going to stay untouched and completely independent. Period. No one was going to use her as some kind of political pawn.
And man, a massive wave of relief washed over Zeus, who, let's be real here, usually never respects a no. So he granted her the highest possible honor. He made her the literal toll booth for all divine worship. Every single sacrifice had to start and end with her. If you're praying to Zeus for military victory, gotta pour wine to Hestia first. Want Athena's wisdom? Hestia gets the very first bite. By tending the sacred fire right at the center of Olympus, she became the ultimate gateway to the gods.
The sacred truce ground. So what exactly was she guarding with all of this supreme authority?
Well, she wasn't the goddess of giant destructive volcanoes or raging wildfires. She was the hearth, that essential small flame in the center of the home that cooks your food, provides your warmth, and where the family actually gathers just to survive.
The stakes back in the ancient world were brutally simple. If the hearth dies, the house dies. You can't cook, your family freezes, and without that central gathering point, the family just scatters to the wind. And this scaled up. Entire cities kept a central public hearth burning 24/7. If that flame went out, the city was literally considered fallen. Hestia was that fire. She was the absolute baseline of survival for both individual homes and entire civilizations.
So while her siblings were constantly plotting and fighting, Ares starting bloody wars, Hera holding centuries-long grudges, Zeus cheating on basically everyone, Hestia remained completely neutral. When the gods argued, they actually had to meet at her hearth because she had turned it into a sacred, bloodless truce ground. You simply could not spill blood by her fire.
The crucial point here is this. The gods didn't fear her smiting them with a lightning bolt. They feared that without her, they wouldn't even have a home to return to. Without her, Olympus just becomes 11 selfish warlords with absolutely no kitchen table to sit around. She was the glue. And well, glue is entirely invisible until it's suddenly gone.
The empty throne. This super delicate dynamic finally reached its ultimate climax with the arrival of Dionysus, the god of wine.
Suddenly, Olympus had a pretty massive math problem. 12 thrones, but now 13 gods. Olympus was officially over capacity. The entire pantheon totally braced themselves for a catastrophic, world-ending war over who was going to lose their seat. Everyone was expecting pure chaos. But instead of fighting, Hestia just calmly stood up and said 2 quiet words. Take mine. She surrendered her seat entirely willingly, choosing to literally walk off Mount Olympus. No anger, no drama at all. She chose to tend to the humble human hearths down on Earth rather than fight her own family for a shiny golden chair.
Zeus had absolutely no choice but to let her go, and he instantly realized he had just lost the neutral ground that kept his incredibly volatile family together. Without Hestia on the council, that ultimate safety net just vanished, and the gods ended up fighting more than ever.
Now, the Romans actually understood her critical importance way better than the Greeks did. They called her Vesta. Her priestesses, the incredibly famous Vestal virgins, kept Rome's sacred fire burning because they truly believed that if it ever went out, Rome itself would fall. And to put that into perspective, look at this timeline. In 394 AD, the sacred fire finally goes out. Within just a few decades, the entire mighty Roman Empire completely collapsed.
So what you should really take away from this explainer is that Hestia is the only Olympian without those epic monster battles or scandalous affairs, because her true unmatchable power wasn't destruction, it was preservation. In a family of raging narcissists, the quiet one who just keeps the lights on is honestly the most dangerous one to lose, because when she finally leaves, you realize she was the only reason you had a family at all.
If you agree that the quiet one who keeps the lights on is the most dangerous to lose, drop a comment with the word hearth below. And hey, tell me, who should our next explainer cover? The terrifying witch goddess Hecate, who even Zeus was scared of? Or maybe the ultimate trickster Sisyphus, who cheated death twice and got the worst punishment ever? Let me know and keep that fire burning until next time.